sewing guru. Now that we've done the front panel, or most of the front panel anyway, we put the zip in, or if you, in your case, you might have a button closure at the front, we've put our front pockets in. We're now ready to go onto the back panels of our jeans. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to attach the yoke onto the back panels of your jeans. So, first of all, I'm going to go over where about the yoke is situated on a pair of jeans. Now, as you can see, this is the back part of a pair of commercially bought jeans. As you can see, you've got your back pockets. So, the yoke is this part here. And it's always situated between the waistband and the top part, which is here, of the back panel of your jeans. So that's your yoke. So what you need to do for this is obviously you need your back panels. Now I've got my back panels, I've got a left and a right, and I have my yoke pieces. So I've got a left and a right there as well on the yoke. Now I've just seen that I just need to just straighten this part of the yoke off because it hasn't been cut properly. So just, I'm just going to cut that. There we go, that's better. Right, so basically these here are the two yoke pieces. Now if you're not sure or you can't remember which piece goes to what you need to do is consult your pattern, because it's very important that the two pieces obviously go in the right place. So this here is the back panel, and we have here the yoke piece which fits onto there like so. So you can clearly see that this yoke part, here we've got the side seam, and the larger width part is obviously the centre back seam, which of course fits and twins onto the centre back seam here of the back panel of your jeans. So you know now that the largest part of the yoke is going to be the centre back. So I'll just discard this pattern, take this out of the way now because we don't need this anymore. And of course you would use your pattern if you were just not sure, okay? So basically you need one of your back panels. So we'll just take one of the back panels. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got the crutch point which goes to the centre back seam of our back panel. And of course, remember that the largest part, or the widest part, is also the centre back seam. So of course, that is the yoke part which is going to fit exactly onto our back panel. Now, there is one more thing which I will show you again on my commercially bought jeans, that the flat felled seam of the yoke is facing upwards into the yoke. So the back panel of our jeans, the seam is facing up into the yoke. So to produce that, because of course with a flat felled seam there's no overlocking or anything like that, our seams are interlocked. So to produce it to facing downwards, you need to turn over your back panel, okay, so you can see the wrong side, and we're just going to press a centimetre. So just press this seam down, centimetre down, okay, like so. And you need to have the right side, so you're seeing the right side, so basically you've got both wrong sides facing in on each other, and you simply position your back yoke into there like so, okay? So to be honest with you, really I should have put, if I just press that down, I should have put the yoke part onto here first with a centimetre seam allowance here, so it's further down by a centimetre, and then you just press this part of the panel back over it like so, okay? And we're just going to put some pins in there to secure this in place, like so. And what I'll do as well is I'll show you what it's going to look like when it's sewn. So just say we'd sewn this, okay, and then we turn that over like so. We turn this panel over. In order for our seam to disappear in on itself, we then stitch down here, and our seam is facing upwards, as you can see, okay? So that's that panel, and of course we need to do that with our other side as well. So get your other panel. Again, wrong side facing you. This here is the crutch and the centre back seam. Okay, make sure that your yoke piece is at the correct side. So we've got the longer width, if I turn this over, the longer width here, which is the centre back seam, and the shorter width is the side seam. Okay, so the longer width has to be at this point here. And of course, you've got to make sure that you have the two wrong sides facing in on each other, okay, like so. So basically just lie it like so, and again we're just going to press our seam over onto the yoke like so. Okay, and again just put some pins in here to secure that seam over. Another pin over here. Okay, now again remember that this is going to be a top stitching, so you need to put your top stitching thread into your sewing machine to be able to sew this part. Okay, so as you can see, we've got both our panels ready now, and what you need to do is you need to stitch right on the raw edge part, okay, not on the edge at this point but down here, you know, right, not right on the raw edge, but basically just stitching this seam down, so basically where I've got my pin compared to where the raw edge is, okay, and we're stitching from here right the way to this point here, and use your top stitching, because of course your top stitching going to come through right the way through to this side. Okay, so we're stitching from here to this point here, and we're doing that with both our panels. So as you can see, I've stitched right along here. If I turn this over, you can see the top stitching right along here. Okay, so we're a centimetre down. Okay, so just give this a nice press, like so. Make sure that's all lying nice and flat, and of course we've done that for our other panel as well. Okay, so again, just give this a press. And the next part, what we need to do is just basically make sure that this here is nice and flat. Okay, and we're simply just bringing this up to where the seam is. Now you'll be able to feel that, okay? So if you put your hand on this part and you just pull, it won't go any further because the seam is basically stopping it from going any further. So when you get to that point, just press it. Just press this down. Okay. Really nice press. And if you turn this over, we now have our seam facing upwards into the yoke. So again, put some pins in here just to secure that down and hold that in place. Okay, another pin here. Yeah, and do that with the other panel as well. So just give this a nice press. Hold your panel and bring it as far forward as you can. Okay, obviously you've got to make sure that this is still facing forward, as you can see. Okay, yeah. And just press that down. In place, like so. Again, turn this over. Give it another press. Like so. We'll just see there that the stitching, I'll just cut that off there. It's right at the edge. That's going to disappear into the seam anyway, it doesn't really matter. That's fine. So just put some pins in here again to secure this down. As you can see, again, our flat felled seam is facing upwards into the yoke, so that's perfect. Pin there, and another pin here. Okay, like so. So there's our two seams ready, okay? And what you need to do is you now need to top stitch, basically closing up this seam, and you're top stitching on the edge from here all the way along to this point here, and you're doing that on both panels. And what that does, it is going to basically finish off the double row of top stitching which is attaching the yoke to the back panel. So from here to this point here. Okay, so as you can see, I've top stitched and finished off this part here, and of course the seam is completely disappeared into itself. Okay, now there's only one row of stitching on the inside, as you can see, but again, you see, I don't have the luxury of a flat felled industrial machine, of course, because that does it in one go. But this way is fine because you've got your top stitching at the front, the back panel, which is obviously facing you. So give this a press, and of course we've done that for both panels. Okay, so you can see the top stitching on there as well. Just give this a press. Okay, and just make sure, of course, that your panels are completely matching. Alright, now they should be matching because, of course, it's the way you've cut them out. So if I just put my left and right panels together like so, yeah, and just put them together on top of each other, okay, as you can see, our seams are matching exactly, and they should be the same on this side as well. Okay, so as you can see, the side seams are matching as well. Okay, so when you've done that and you're happy with your top stitching and the yoke facing upwards, the seam facing upwards and everything, you're now ready to go on to the next video where I'm going to show you how to create and put the pockets onto the back panel.